Greetings and salutations. Welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. No Trev for this video, but we're still bringing you some hot content here for DC Sports. Today, the Washington Commanders asked on Twitter, who would you take with the 11th pick? That coupled with the fact that there are plenty of front office executives showing up to QB Pro Days with Kenny Pickett and Malik Willis. Are they going to take a QB at 11, Stoner?
Well, let me just say this. If I were a fan, thinking like a fan, I am a fan. If I was thinking only as a fan, the dumb fan that I am, if I was doing like that fantasy GM that they do, that you can do online or whatever, I would take a quarterback at 11. I'd also take a quarterback at, what's their second round pick?
49 now.
49?
It was 42. They traded. They swapped in the Carson Wentz trade, so it's 49.
Yeah, I'd take a quarterback at 49. They don't have a third round pick. I'd trade up to the third round. I'd get another quarterback because you can't have too many quarterbacks if you're playing this whole fantasy GM fan sort of type game. But we can't think like that. So you see what I'm saying? If you're
the old saying is, if you have two quarterbacks, you have no quarterbacks. Though.
Well, yes, but you can't ever have enough quarterbacks on a team. That's just the way my dumb fan brain thinks.
I can already see the comments are going to light you up. They're not going to get to this point. They're going to be like, Stoner, you big dummy. You're just a Yahoo. Just make sure while you comment, don't forget to like and subscribe to this video.
That's correct. And I'm not saying that to kind of get everybody after me, or what's that thing we always say that, you're just trying to say something to get comments or whatever.
You're not a shock jock. This isn't you're not doing this for the clicks or tweets or
I'm just kind of trying to say that obviously quarterback is such an incredibly important position that you just got to keep trying and trying and trying until you finally figure it out. Well, who's your guy? Figure out or find that diamond in the rough or whatever in the second round, third round. But if I'm a responsible GM and I'm intelligent GM, I'm not touching a quarterback, not only at 11, I'm not touching a quarterback anywhere in this draft, in the 2022 draft at all. I'm not even considering it. And I'll give you all the reasons why, but I want to hear what your thought is on whether they should take a quarterback at 11.
Hell no.
Right.
HAIL, no. Yes, yeah. No, that's a different version of hail. No, that's not a smart move. Now, I will agree with you on one thing. I do think that much in the way that we're seeing here in the last couple of years, draft picks are being valued differently than they were years ago.
For sure.
I think that at the QB position, because it is as important, not that it wasn't important before, but running back was more of a premier position 30 years ago than it is right now.
Sure.
We're seeing wide receivers being dynamic, but those are also kind of very hit and miss. I think with QBs, I think you're going to see, and I think you've seen a little bit of this, teams are realizing you can't necessarily, as much as fans, especially some of our older fans, would love to see QBs be developed. NFL franchises are not patient. They're less patient than fans are. And so you take a QB. If it doesn't work out, you move on and you find a new QB. Let somebody else try to do that reclamation project and see if they can improve. And you've seen that, I think, with like Rosen is a name. Sam Darnold was recently shipped as well. So, I mean, I think that we're getting to the point where you can see a team draft QBs in back-to-back seasons.
Absolutely.
With the first couple of picks that they have. And it's because, hey, I have had this person in the building. This person isn't going to be what we need them to be. We're going to move on to the next thing. Maybe that person, that QB can still develop, but right now it's not the person. That being said, again, not taking a QB at 11, you just traded assets for a veteran QB. This draft, you can surround that QB and the team with talent. At 11, you should be able to get good starting day one talent at the 11th pick. So that's
So
what you need to go for. And taking a QB to sit behind Wentz, I don't think is a smart decision.
are you hedging yourself a little bit though, and you're only saying at 11? Are
Oh,
you
I'm
not
not taking
saying
a
second
QB at
round,
all.
fourth
Not
round?
taking a
Okay.
QB at all.
Okay.
I have seen several mock drafts. They're still taking Sam Howell in the second, and
Yeah.
there's fans who are like, well, throw a flyer out for Purdy in the 6th or 7th, and that's not it either.
No. Of course.
Take positions. This draft has long been talked about. The QB position is not as high quality as it
Right.
was last year. Even
Right.
though last year we're seeing some of those QBs flounder, we're probably going to get another season of Jimmy G in San Francisco, for instance, instead of Trey Lance, even though it's supposed
Mhm.
to be Trey Lance season. I just think that this draft you can skip on the developmental talent, and next year you either Wentz failed and you're going to draft a QB high,
Right.
or Wentz did great and then you can get a QB in the 5th or higher rounds, maybe 4th if you're really,
Or
a guy that's there.
or not again, or not draft again. If Wentz
Not again.
does
I
well,
mean, if
then you're going to
he's
extend
doing
him.
well, you're going to extend him. Well, he's on contract for 3 years. You just owe
Yeah.
him that first year. But
Sure.
if he does well, you probably do extend him. The thing is, you probably still want to draft QB next season because Taylor
Mhm.
Heineke's contract ends at the end of this season, and whether or not
You
you're
need
going to pay
somebody.
him again
Yeah.
is in question. You probably do just cut ties and find a cheaper backup because he could potentially command a higher price than what Washington's willing to pay.
Yeah. All right. So let's break this down a little bit, right? So you get to the off season and you get to the Senior Bowl and you get to the combine, right? And Ron and his staff, and he's got a million guys who are pouring over tape of all these quarterbacks, and they're studying them left and right, and they're talking to coaches, and they go to the Senior Bowl and the Shrine Bowl. I don't know if which quarterbacks went to which bowl or whatever, and their
Most
bowl
premier
games.
ones went to the Senior Bowl, but there
Yeah,
was a couple in the Shrine Bowl that will be available in the second
right.
and third days.
And they go to the combine and they talk to all these guys and they do the measurables, and again they study the tape over and over and over again, and they meet and they talk and they do all of that, and they're sitting at 11 and they say, you know what, we need to go get us a veteran quarterback, and we need to pay $28 million for him, and we need to give up 2 draft picks because these guys, they're not it. They're not the answer this year. So that's really the way you got to look at it. So if these guys aren't the answer, and you're going to spend draft capital and you're going to spend $28 million of your cap on a guy, why are you then going to turn around and draft a guy that you could have started right away to begin with?
Mhm.
So it would be asinine to draft a quarterback at 11. And I also think it would be asinine to draft a quarterback anywhere else because you've got to go all in with Carson Wentz. Your job depends on Carson Wentz. So don't kind of what's the right word, pussyfoot around and decide that we're going to kind of have this developmental quarterback that we're going to waste a draft pick on when your legacy is on Carson Wentz. Go out, get him every possible weapon that you can in the draft, free agency. There's still a little bit of time left for that, and surround him with everything they can to make him successful, which is going to make you successful, which is going to allow you to keep your job for the next couple of years as well. If you go out and get a quarterback at any draft position, especially 11, you're wasting that opportunity to surround Carson Wentz with more talent. I think they should get a receiver at 11. And if you say there's more receivers later on and they can trade back, okay, if that's the right thing. But
As
you
long as they get a receiver.
you don't trade back for Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and DeAndre Hopkins. I don't know when those guys were all drafted, but I mean, you don't trade back for premier stud receivers. If there's a premier stud receiver at 11, that's
Grab
who
the
you
one
should
you
get.
want.
And
Okay,
I don't care
that's fair.
if who's that corner that everybody loves?
Sauce Gardner.
Sauce Gardner. I don't care if he's there. I don't care if the safety from
Kyle
Notre
Hamilton.
Yeah. See, I don't remember all the names. I just kind of
because you
they're
really
all in
don't
my
care
head.
that much. N'Kobe
No,
Dean is a linebacker.
or the kid
No,
from Utah, the linebacker from Utah.
he
I
should
don't
probably
care
go
about
late,
all of them.
or late in the first round. I think.
Get support for Carson Wentz to make him successful, which will make your team successful, which will make you successful.
I do think that this team needs additional firepower on offense, and you've
Mhm.
seen the trend in the Super Bowls over the last decade. It's long been preached defense wins championships. And that's still the case when it comes to the Super Bowl, as far as the team that has the better defense is going to be the one to win. But if you look at the teams that make it to the Super Bowl,
Mhm.
they have great offenses. That's
That's
what
right.
it's going to take to get to there. And then you need a good defense to win that game. Now, the reason why we're talking about QB, Stoner, is because the team's sending officials to
Mhm.
these pro days for
Good.
the QBs and specifically there. And I have a
Smart.
theory.
Okay.
All right. A little bit of a conspiracy theory here.
Oh, let's hear
I'm going
it.
to put it on our conspiracy theory
Oh,
music for this.
nice.
Okay. The reason why
Right.
they're there is because guess who else is there? All those
All the
QB
other
needy teams,
right.
and a bunch of other teams as well. You're establishing relationships with those. You're finding out their interest to see
Mhm.
whether or not, like you mentioned, you can trade back.
That's
So
right.
you know who your trading partners are going into draft day
That's
because
right.
you were there at those. If Kenny Pickett falls to the 11th pick, I imagine there's going to be a team that's going to want to move up to grab him. Malik
To
Willis
11
should.
though? Why? Why 11? Why not? Because I've looked at the draft order and I don't have it memorized, but 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 and
They
17,
don't need a
none
QB.
of them need a quarterback. So why would they move all the way up past those guys to 11? For
It's an
example, was it
it's an
New
arms
Orleans at
race.
18?
It's New Orleans at 18,
Yeah, so
and
why don't they
Steelers are
move
at
up
19.
to 13? Why 11? Why is it
It's
why do we
it's
think that everybody wants to go trade with us?
I'm not.
I'm
It
just
takes two
asking.
to tango. You're
Yeah.
definitely going to have to find a trading partner for that.
Mhm.
But what you're looking at is it's an arms race.
Yeah, for
If
sure.
you can get teams into thinking that, hey, there are, team A is going to go up to pick 12. Now
Right.
pick 11 is where you go. So
Sure,
and,
sure.
and it's the
But
same
like I'm
thing as
saying,
it's
that
like
could be
if
13
it's
and 12 and
sure, but if a
14
team
and
is
13.
willing to go up to 13, you convince the opposing team that the next team's going to go up to 12, and then the
Yeah,
next so you have to get to that 11th pick. There's a lot of stuff that happens behind the
sure.
scenes that are going to be
100%.
very interesting. And again, I'm not saying it's guaranteed that they trade back, but if one, as you mentioned, Sauce Gardner at 11, there might
Mhm.
be a team. It might not be a QB, right? But if
Sure.
Sauce Gardner, because they're going to see him, because they're going to look at Ritter as well in the Cincinnati Pro Day. Now you have teams that are wanting a premier talent like
Mhm.
Sauce Gardner.
Sure.
Now you can find trade back partners for that. So I think that
Yeah.
there's definitely some options. It might not just be a QB, but there are going to be options potentially to trade back because
Yeah.
there is a lot of talent in both the pass catchers and some of the defensive pieces.
Mhm.
Me personally, Stoner, if it really depends on which receiver is there at 11. If
But
I'm
what if
not
all of them are there?
if every single one of the top receivers are there, plus Kyle Hamilton and Sauce Gardner,
Yeah, let's just play it out.
I'm probably still taking Kyle Hamilton because I think that there's still value to be had in the second round with this receiving core, and I don't necessarily think the first tier guys are that much better than the second tier guys. I don't
Mm,
see a Jamar Chase necessarily. I don't
okay.
see a Justin Jefferson out of
Okay.
this class. I think that there are some good receivers that are going to have good to great careers,
Mhm.
but Drake London has questions, and so
Sure.
it's just like, do you run the risk of getting, pulling Detroit Lions and taking receivers too high, and they
Mhm.
end up floundering?
3 years in a
So
row.
I mean,
4
Washington
in a row.
has experience with that,
Sure.
with first round receivers as well. So I'm not saying you don't take one of those. I'd be very excited. I said that the firepower is needed. Now they're going to flame me in the comments. Firepower is needed. I would love
Mhm.
the offense, but if you have a guy like Kyle Hamilton, safety is something that both the team needs, and Kyle Hamilton is one of the best safeties to come out in recent years.
There
reminds a lot of people of a young Sean Taylor. I
Easy
think
now.
that's a little
Easy
bit
now.
much. You let the
Yeah.
kid play in the NFL first.
Yeah, right.
But I mean, he's definitely a rangy safety that would pair very well with Cam Curl for a few years.
Well, think about, for example, think about Cincinnati last year. They're coming off a year that before this past season, the off season, the draft's coming up. They're coming off a year where their quarterback got his knee torn up by Washington, coincidentally, but got his knee torn up and had no protection. Offensive line was in shambles. They
Top
had
5
like
pick
the
again.
top 5 pick, right? And everybody, I mean everybody, including this show, said they're going to take the offensive lineman, the Penei Sewell or Penei Sewell, whatever his
Yeah, go ahead
Penei
and butcher
Sewell,
that name.
Penei Sewell, whatever.
We're talking about penne pasta here.
Yeah, everybody said they were going to take an offensive lineman because it was smart to take a guy to protect your franchise quarterback.
Give him
They
time to
said,
throw.
They said, no. We're going for weapons. And they already had some weapons, right? They already had a couple of receivers that were really good. But they said, no. We're going to get this guy who, by the way, didn't play at all the year before. He sat out the COVID year. So there were a lot of questions about whether he was ready or not. And they said, we're going to take a chance on a receiver, a stud, once in a 5-year receiver. And it worked out. And they made it all the way to the Super Bowl. Now, they did it because they have a great quarterback who overcame those offensive line deficiencies and the receiver. And now they're loading up on offensive linemen this offseason.
Yeah, doing the Kansas City thing where
Yeah.
they lost in the Super Bowl because of their line, so they've shore up that.
Go get playmakers. That's what they need to do. And getting a safety when you've already got 2 starting safeties, right? You can never have enough of any position, but you've already got 2 starting safeties. It's not a big hole. Middle linebacker.
I think there's enough people who probably debate you a little bit on McCain's ability.
He's a starting safety. They signed him to a free agent contract. Okay, he was a free agent, and they
pretty
signed
cheap
him.
contract though.
Yeah,
so.
but they signed him to be a starting safety. Now you're going to draft one. Go fill another hole that you have, which is a second receiver, which is a middle linebacker, something like that. Safety, I'd be pissed. I'd be really, really, really pissed. So don't do safety. Don't bring up Kyle Hamilton's name again, and especially going to Sean Taylor.
I'm not saying I'm doing it. I'm saying other people. I told people. I know people are going to ignore that, but cool your jets on that. Let the kid play in the NFL.
For sure.
Who do you want? Answer that for us in the comment section. Who do you want at 11? Do you think they should take a QB at 11? I hope not. Do you think they should take a QB at all during this draft? Let us know in the comment section. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. We'll be live. We're live Wednesdays at 7:30. You can join us in the chat and let us know what you think there as well. And until next time,
what's that?
Be a fan.